Next, we're going to show you a series of 5 images captured from the National Data Buoy Center Station 42040, located 64 nautical miles south of Dolphin Island, Alabama, in the Gulf of Mexico. Our first image from this buoy is on October 4, 2014, and it is the first image to the left. Here we see Venus is closer to the Sun, yet the object captured in this panel displays a full face. Next is October 5, 2014, the following day. Here we see a well-defined full face on the object. Our next Gulf of Mexico observation is on October 6, 2014, and once again we see an object with a full face. Our sixth image panel was acquired on October 8, 2014, and while a passing cloud interferes with the image, the distance between Venus and the Sun is considerable. Our last panel was taken on October 12, 2014, and even though this object is very close to the Sun, it still exhibits a very clear and distinguished full face. After completing our examination of the 7 panels, we decided to ask the guides about these images with the help of Adriana, the professional psychic who performed our technical readings, which are presented in the first section of Being in It for the Species. What we learned from the guides surprised us. According to the guides, these 7 panels contain images of But, perihelion, and Nibiru. So now we will show you which of the panels revealed which objects, beginning with the planet But. According to the guides, But was first observed from the Gulf of Alaska on September 30, 2014. The second time it was observed was from the Gulf of Mexico on October 12, 2014. As you can see, these 2 observations are of an object above the Sun at the 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock positions. We asked the guides for an explanation, and what they told us is that there was a span of nearly 2 weeks between these observations, and since But has the shortest orbital duration of the 3 Planet X system planets, this was just normal for its orbit. Next was perihelion, which according to the guides was first observed in the Gulf of Alaska on September 29, 2014, and then once again from the Gulf of Mexico on October 5, 2014. We found these observations of But and perihelion to be most impressive because they were captured from different buoys thousands of miles apart. However, what comes next puts a whole new spin on the word interesting. According to the guides, the planet Nibiru was first observed from the Gulf of Mexico on October 4, 2014, then again by the same buoy on October 6, 2014, and yet once again from the same buoy on October 8th. Now that you've seen these images, you might be doing what many Americans do when they look at a picture of a UFO. They just say, "I can't believe my eyes." If so, keep the following in mind. When the time comes that everyone can see these objects with their own eyes, regardless of the chemtrail aerosols, the fear that will clutch at the throats of many will not be because of what they see in the sky. Rather, it will be the realization that they are not prepared for what they see in the sky. And being prepared is really what it's all about when you consider what happens during the first 3 Planet X events. According to the guides, the principal causality of the first event on the tribulation timeline, the Winter of Ash, is a galactic superwave. This phenomenon is well described by physicist Dr. Paul LaViolette in his book Earth Under Fire, and it is fully explained in our previous video, Yowza.com Volcano Update Number 1. Therefore, in this program, we'll move ahead on the tribulation timeline to the first 3 events related solely to the flyby of the Planet X system through the core of our own system, beginning with the covert visitations which happen after the Winter of Ash. Following that will be the Deep Impact event, which we will explain in depth in this segment with specific regards to the impactor origins, the impact itself, and the consequences of all that. Following this, we will show you the perihelion alignment of the Planet X system and explain why this particular alignment is so crucial. If there's one thing the topic of Planet X has in common with ufology, is that regardless of how many mountains of photographic evidence you produce, most people will still say, "I just can't believe it." Regrettably, this very expression of cognitive dissonance plays directly into the hands of the Anunnaki, the inhabitants of Nibiru, and the elite leadership of our own planet. Following the Winter of Ash event, which causes global economic and political chaos, the Anunnaki will begin making covert visits to our world leaders. In being in it for the species, the guides tell us the Anunnaki will advise our leaders about this impending asteroid impact event. How will it play out? The guides tell us those who are fated to be in the crosshairs of this disaster will be the last to know. According to the guides, this impactor will be an asteroid in our own system, and it is currently located somewhere between the orbits of Mercury and Venus. While it presents absolutely no threat to Earth at this time, the approach of the Planet X system will bump it into a trajectory that will bring it into contact with the Earth. To help visualize this, let's begin with a simple side view of our system. As you can see here, we have Earth and the ecliptic, the plane of our galaxy we discussed earlier. This asteroid will travel near to the ecliptic, and for those who've been kept in the dark about its approach, there will be no way to know it is coming. However, the guides tell us that when we see Nemesis coming out from behind the Sun, with the planet Helion to its right, and Nibiru below the ecliptic and near to the Sun, that dying time is near. To get the picture of what that means for us, we'll use this world map to plot this impact event and its consequences. The asteroid will travel from west to east as it approaches the eastern Atlantic, and the impact site will be off the coast of France. This impact will occur in an area of deep seabed and drive forward a massive tsunami into Europe, a wall of water so large even London and Paris will flood. Plus, there will be a rearward tsunami that will travel in the opposite direction across the Atlantic towards North America, as the ejecta and ashfall from the impact begins to fall on Europe. Traveling as fast as a modern jet airliner, the rearward tsunami wave will strike into the northeastern seaboard of North America with devastating consequences for America and Canada, but that is not even the half of it. Shortly after the impact in the eastern Atlantic, the active volcano on Las Palmas will erupt, causing its western flank to fail. This will generate the Las Palmas tsunami many have feared for years, and it will follow quickly on the heels of the asteroid's rearward impact tsunami. This second tsunami wave will strike a much greater swath on the east coast of America and Canada, and will be significantly more powerful. Plus, it will combine with the effects of the first tsunami wave for a two-fisted knockout blow that will spell the end of America as the current dominant world power. It will also deal a devastating blow to Atlantic alliances which are dependent on a very sophisticated transatlantic communication infrastructure of deep undersea fiber optic cables. As you can see here, the impact site relative to this communication infrastructure gives one pause to wonder about where this asteroid strikes. Is it happenstance? Or are we looking at the possibility of a targeted projectile? Not only in terms of the communications aspect, but also for what happens next. The impact will be on the western side of the Eurasian plate, and the force of the impact will travel through the Earth's interior to the eastern side of that same plate. Here you see an equatorial view of that line of travel for added perspective. Once this energy wave strikes the opposite side of the Eurasian plate, the consequence will be a massive disruption of the Pacific seabed, starting in the Kamchatka area, moving south towards Antarctica. There it will rebound and head back north, triggering undersea volcanoes and earthquakes as it goes. As you can obviously see here, the Hawaiian Islands are in the crosshairs of this rebound wave. But this wave, which rebounds off Antarctica, will also cause great earthquakes and volcanic eruptions for those nations in South, Central, and North America bordering the Ring of Fire. After the dust settles, both the eastern and western shores of the United States will be devastated, and then the unthinkable will happen. In what will seem like a blink of the eye, America will become a third world nation. However, the guides also tell us that no nation on earth, no matter how wealthy or advanced, will be able to escape the cataclysms to come. And with that, now comes the really bad news. In Being in It for the Species, the guides tell us that when we see this alignment of the Planet X system, Nemesis will have reached its point of perihelion, which is its closest distance to the Sun. After that, it turns south into the outbound leg of its orbit. From this time forward, events far worse than the Deep Impact event will unfold, to include a pole shift. Simply put, these events will brutalize us and our world. So the question now is, what do we do about it? Because when we do see Nemesis at perihelion, there will only be two kinds of people in the world: those who are prepared and those who are not. In my postscript, which follows next, I'm going to address that very point and what I intend to do about it. I began researching Planet X in 2001 and published my first article on the topic of Planet X in January 2002. Over the years, I and my fellow researchers have always treated the topic as a threshold risk issue. However, with the release of Being in It for the Species and this video, that has changed. We at Yowza.com now view Planet X as a clear and present danger. Therefore, the conversation about it has changed from, will it come in our lifetime, to how will we survive it? Keep in mind, many of us will, so the consequences are much larger than mere survival itself. Humanity will survive this flyby as it has others in the past. Then we will rebuild and go to the stars. Therefore, the transcendent issue is not survival. It is how we go to the stars after the tribulation. And here, humanity has a clear choice. We can go as Anunnaki stormtroopers, despised by other races. Or we can evolve as a result of this tragedy to become an enlightened spacefaring race, welcomed throughout the galaxy. In essence, what I am saying is that I do believe humanity is worthy of a Star Trek future. For this reason, my mission has changed. I will now devote myself to survival wellness advocacy and join with like-minded others in the peaceful pursuit of a noble destiny where the meek truly do inherit the earth. If you feel the same noble calling to be in it for the species, then you are my brother. You are my sister. Let us move forward together. To learn more about the tribulation projections made by the guides in Being in It for the Species, visit beinginitforthespecies.com or Yowza.com.